Hello everybody! In today's video, we're going to be taking a detailed look at Bachmann's G-scale diesel from the Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends universe. Diesel, or Devious Diesel as he's known, is a black 060 diesel electric locomotive who at the making of this video works for the Northwestern Railway. As his name implies, Devious Diesel is a bit of a scheming, malicious locomotive with a tendency to bully. He views diesel locomotives as superior to steam locomotives, and that attitude tends to put him at odds with the steam locomotives as well as his fellow diesel locomotives. As a result, he's not very popular among his fellow diesels. He's got a pretty extensive bio, so we encourage you to do some research online if you're interested in learning more. As with all locomotives in the Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends universe, Devious Diesel is based on a real locomotive. He's based on the British Railways, or BR, Class 08. These diesels were built as general-purpose shunters, and 996 were built between 1952 and 1962. In addition to British Railways, many manufacturers produce these locos, and they serve many operators in addition to British Railways as well. The BR Class 08 started being withdrawn from service in 1967, but as late as 2020, there were still about 100 units in operation. Okay, let's take a closer look at the Devious Diesel. Okay, so to start things off, the Bachmann G scale Devious Diesel locomotive is about 18 inches in length, and we'll work from the back to the front here as we go through some of the features and some of the characteristics of the locomotive. So to begin with here, all these Bachmann G scale Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends universe locomotives have hook and loop couplers, and this is nice because it has one in the rear and one in the front. So starting with the cab here, you'll see that there's some cab detail here. There's some handrails here for the door and a little step up there. There are windows in the cab, but those aren't really glass windows. Those are kind of silvery plastic to emulate glass in those windows there. So you get a door window and then a cab window. Now all this construction is completely plastic except for some metal components here, like these things here that support the drive arms here. As we move forward here, there's some features out here on the side of the hood here with some detail here. You've got these circular features up here with some bolt work. Down here you've got some vent work, and you've got some utility boxes and what looks like some vent work here. So maybe there's some fans or cooling there of some sort. And as we mentioned earlier, this is an 060 locomotive, so there are no leading wheels. There are 6, 3 on each side drive wheels here, all connected by this arm here, and then there is no trailing wheels. So there's a little bit of, like I said, metal construction here. These connection points here are all metal, and then of course the wheels are metal for connectivity purposes on the track. And then here you might be able to see, we'll get a better view from the top, but there's some features here across the hood, some strapping or some panels that are being held down there. And all these features are molded into the plastic. There's nothing movable or functional here. As we move to the front, we've got a front step here. Oops, I gave the locomotive a little turn there. So we got the front steps here, and then we have a ladder feature that comes up over the front of the hood, which is kind of cool. All right, let's give them a turn. Okay, as we look from the back here, again, you get the hook and loop coupler here, and then you've got the nice curved roof, and these, silver plastic pieces that serve as windows. You can't see through them or anything like that. They just kind of emulate windows, as we said before. You've got a little bit of bracing here, and you've got an air line or vacuum line here, and then you've got your buffer beam right here in red with the buffer pads here painted in black, and a utility hook, if you can see that. Now, I got a little lesson in the comments a little while ago. I have been calling this red feature here a bumper just because I was not sure what else to call it. And then in the comments, somebody pointed out that that is actually called the buffer beam. So the comments are really helpful. You know, we don't mind learning the little parts and things like that that we're not completely familiar with. So yeah, so that's great. All right, let's keep turning. Alright, so this side of Devious Diesel here is identical to the opposite side. So you got your step, your cab with the door, then the fake windows there, and then your little features here, the same utility boxes and stuff hanging off the side of the hood here, some vent work, and then again that strapping or that panel work there across the top of the roof, ladder, and a step down there. And of course you've got your 3 drive wheels on this side with the linkage. So not too much new on this side here to talk about, so we'll give it another turn. Alright, looking from the front here, the most prominent feature is obviously Devious Diesel's face, and he doesn't look too happy there. Yeah, so he's got a square face. A lot of the steam locomotives and so forth, because of the boiler, those faces around, but this is a nice square face here. These eyes will traverse back and forth as Devious Diesel is rolling down the track. And this is kind of a nice front view here. You can see those ladder features here are attached to, well, they're molded into the hood, but they look like they're attached, so they've got, you know, space in between the ladder and the hood section there, as you can see, so that's kind of nice. I'm not sure if you can see back to the cab, but you might have caught it in the 3/4 view, but there are some windows back here, smaller windows, and again, they're not really windows, they're kind of faux windows with the silver plastic there. And then you got your hook and loop coupler up front, and then you've got your buffer beam with the colored in red with the buffer pads there painted in black up front. All right, let's bring it around full circle. Oh, if you stop right there, yeah, so here's your window feature here on the cab, if you can see that. All right, we'll continue around. All right, let's take a look at the top and the bottom. Okay, so looking at Diesel from the top, there's not a whole lot to see here detail-wise, but you can get a good look at how these ladders come across the top of the hood and stop short of the center line there. Then you've got those panels that I was talking about here with these raised, contact points there. And then on the roof, you've got this little gutter feature here, and then you've got the panel there on the front of the roof. And yeah, if you get this angle here, you can kind of look down into the running platform there, where everything kind of sits on. And those panels, these panels are kind of an angle, which is kind of nice. This panel here from the top of that kind of slopes down. Yeah, so there's a good shot of the top aspect of the Devious Diesel. All right, and here's your bottom view of Devious Diesel here. The prominent feature here is like the little motor box here with the 6 drive wheels. Only the 2 ones on the ends, the pair on the ends has the flange on it. The center one doesn't have a flange, if you can notice that. And then you've got your kind of axle points here and your drive arms. Those drive arms are plastic. And you got your Bachmann stamping, your logo, and your part number here stamped in white. That's a pretty consistent feature for all of these. Otherwise, there's not a ton of detail down here. It looks like on this end here, there's a couple of supports or some kind of pistons up there of some sort. I'm not sure on the real Diesel what those would necessarily be. But then back here, you've got a polarity switch. And that's just a slider. Yep. Then you got your hook and loop couplers here. You can see those in profile from below. And your red buffer beam, and you can get a good look at those buffer posts there and pads. But yeah, just to give you a look at the bottom. All right, so there you have it. There's Devious Diesel from the Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends universe. It's a Bachmann product, and this one is in G scale. So let's give it one more spin. So when we take Diesel out on the Garden Railroad to run, we're going to have him haul our 6 Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends G-Scale tanker cars. So Bachmann makes 6 of these tanker cars, and luckily we have all 6. So we'll take a detailed look at one, and then we'll just give the other 5 a spin, just so you can see what they look like, the color schemes and so forth. So let's get started. Okay, so looking at the tank car from the side, you'll notice here that they're dual single axle trucks on the bottom here, so 4 wheels in total. The detail here includes some suspension. You can see the leaf springs here. It's kind of the same type of detail you see on the troublesome trucks, which we've reviewed in the past. The same level of detail. You've got some braking mechanics down here. You got the brake shoes close to the wheels there, and the wheels are metal. It's the only metal part to these cars here, but it adds some heft to the car, and they sound nice on the track and so forth. So and it's all, other than that, it's all plastic. So you've got mostly, the primary color here is black, and then the tank itself obviously is a 2-tone blue. You got a lighter blue for the tank itself, and then a darker blue for the graphics. So on the tank itself, you'll see here there's some nice bolt work here that wraps around on either side of the center filler port there. And then on the very end, you can see that there is some more bolt work that wraps around on either end here. And then you've got some strapping. So you got a little black strap on either side here, and then you've got these other kind of cross, what I imagine are just kind of cross cables to keep the tank from sliding potentially. All right, let's give it a spin. Okay, looking from the end here, you can see we've got our buffer beam there with our buffers all painted black. We got a utility hook, and then our hook and loop coupler back there. And then we've got this bracing system here to help keep the tank, I'm sure, from sliding too much, if at all, here. So we've got some vertical bracing here, supports here, and then we've got some horizontal, we got a horizontal support here. And there is, you might not be able to see it because it's all black on black, but there is some little bolt details here on those supports, which is a nice little detail. All right, let's give it a spin. All right, nothing new to see here on this side. This is exactly the same as the opposite side. So we'll just give you a quick look here and keep spinning. And again, both ends are identical. So we'll bring it full circle. And we'll take a look at the top and the bottom. Okay, looking down from the top here, you can see, a lot of those features obviously carry like right over the top to the other side. So you've got your strapping, your cables, and these are all molded into the plastic or painted on features here. You've got your filler port right here on the top, dead center, with a little closing latch there. And then if you see these bracings here, you can see these bracings have like a little cornered edge here to catch that tank. Hopefully it doesn't slide in real life. Probably a lot of weight in those tanks for the liquid. And then Evan, if you can get a shot right down in here, not a lot of detail down here, but just to give you a look at where it's fastened to the deck of the car there. But yeah, there's a look from the top. Let's take a look at the bottom. Yeah, on these Bachmann G-Scale Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends Universe cars here, there's not a lot of model detail down here. Something that'd be true to a real car down here. It's all pretty, just kind of smooth plastic. But you've got your Bachmann stamping down here with the part number, which is pretty consistent across the board here with these Bachmanns. But you can see the metal wheels, and you can see some of the details here from the structures. Mostly appreciated from the side. There's not really much to see there from the bottom, but just wanted to give you a quick look so that you See what the bottom of the car looks like. All right, let's give the water tanker one more spin, and then we'll take a look at the other 5 real quick. Next up is the oil tanker car, and this car here is all black on black, but it's got the exact same features as the water tanker car we just looked at, and the badging feature here is just the gold insignia there with the oil well gushing oil. So let's give it a spin. All right, next up is the fuel tanker. This is a nice looking car here, the nice bright yellow with the red insignias on it, the flammable insignias. So yeah, again, same mold as the other tankers. So if you can see that strapping and that bolt work, it's kind of hard to see because it's all colored the same color. But yeah, let's give it a quick spin. Okay, next up is the tar tank car, so let's give that a spin. Okay, next up is the cream tanker, and this one is kind of nice because it has that nice logo on it. It's got the cream or the old school cream or milk cans there, and the clouds behind, and the green pasture, and the blue sky is very farmy. So yeah, let's give this one a spin. And last but not least, we have the chocolate syrup tanker car. So let's give that one a spin. We were just wondering if they actually haul chocolate syrup around in tanker cars like this on the railroad. Now that would make quite a mess if it ever derailed. But on the island of Sodor, anything's possible. So. All right, so there you have it. All 6 of Bachmann's G-scale tanker cars from the Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends universe. Okay, so something we've gotten in the habit of doing with these Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends universe locomotives is that if we have them in multiple scales, we like to show them together here just so you get a sense of the size difference. So on the right there is obviously our G-scale diesel, and then on the left is our HO scale diesel. Now, Bachmann has been pretty good about, or very good, I would say, about making these models consistent from scale to scale. They've got all the same, for the most part, they've got all the same features, you know, right down to the red buffer beam and the silver windows are even here in the fake windows are here on the HO scale. And yeah, they look very, very much alike. A lot of the same details and so forth, just in a different size. One feature here that is different on the HO version versus the G-Scale version is that Devious Diesel actually has a happy face on the HO version versus the scowly face on the G-Scale version. And on the HO version, the eyes also traverse back and forth when they're going down the track. Now we have a video out there on where we reviewed the HO version of Diesel. So, you know, check that out if you've got some time and you're interested in seeing that. But yeah, so this is the HO scale and G scale version of Diesel. All right, let's get our G scale version of Diesel out on the track and take him for a run.